Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever else you refer to yourself as. This is the first edition of the Sock and Rowe Podcast featuring myself and Robert Rowe.
What's
Mm,
going on, brother?
Oh, not a whole lot. I'm ready to jump into some Weird Al Yankovic. Um, I actually did some research before coming on here, and I was actually wrong for years about what Weird Al's first song was.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was Another One Rides the Bus, but it wasn't.
No, it was Ricky.
No, it wasn't.
It's not Ricky either.
Not Ricky either, and it's also not. Everybody else thinks it was My Bologna, but that's not it either. His original hit, he ended up on, of course, Dr. Demento's program,
Right.
based out of Southern California, and he did the song "Belvedere Cruisin'."
Oh,
That
okay.
was his first song ever. It never made an album, I don't think, but you can find early demo tapes on his Rarities album he came out with. I believe it's on there. I'm not sure. But his second song is on the new album. It is called Take Me Down. It's his second hit. My Bologna was his third hit in 1979.
Oh, okay.
It was released as a single. Um, his song "Take Me Down" was actually on a LP, Slow Grown, which is interesting because a lot of people refer to Weird Al as an '80s artist, but his first single came out in '78, and his biggest single came out in '79.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know. I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, My Bologna was 1979, but it didn't become a huge hit until the '80s,
Right.
which
Yeah,
is
because he
very
had another one, Rides the Bus, that came out in '81.
yeah.
Ricky came out in '83, and I Love Rocky Road also came out in '83.
Yeah, a lot of his hits was in the '80s. Like you mentioned, Another One Rides the Bus. He had when Another One Rides the Bus was written in 1980. That's when he debuted John Bertum Bermuda Schwartz. Sorry, I got my tongue tied. John Bermuda Schwartz was introduced into the band as his drummer when Another One Bites the Dust was written. One Another Rides the Bus, which was the parody of Another One Bites the Dust. Um, and then he appeared on the Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder that year,
Oh, okay.
in '81. And at that time, there was only two band members. There was a drummer and an accordion player slash singer. Then in '81, he was introduced to other band members when he was doing his Phoenix, Arizona act at a nightclub. He started doing his first shows ever was here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
But he's originally from California, and then he was introduced to Steve J, who was his bassist and still is, and then Jay introduced him to his friend Jim West, his guitarist, and that lineup has stayed the same since 1981.
Isn't that awesome, though? I mean, not many bands can ever say that.
You know
Ever.
what's weird about Weird Al is it started off just Weird Al on accordion. He gained a drummer, then he gained a bassist and guitarist. He's never lost members; he's gained them.
Yeah, no doubt.
He never loses members,
It's like his posse just keeps growing and growing. But
right?
that's awesome for him because I've always heard good things about Weird Al. He's a great employer, just a super nice guy, and he wants to see the best for anybody that he cares about.
Right. And from what I was told, I don't know how true this is, but Dr. Demento told Weird Al one time, he's like, "Kid, you better be ready to have a real job." And Weird Al's like, "Why do you say that?" He's like, "If you're not going to be handling paperwork at the radio and you're just going to be a parody artist, you're not going to last long in this business because a parody artist only lasts 2 to 4 years."
Yeah, that's
And,
very true. That's very true.
and he's been doing this since '78 and he's still going strong.
Yeah, because a lot of reviewers for the first album were like, "Yeah, this guy's he's not going to make it. It's just it, he's kind of a joke. And well, guess what? The joke was on you.
Well, his big break was actually in 1982 when he did I Love Rocky Road, because
Hmm.
that song was produced by mega superstar Rick Derringer.
Nice. Yeah.
Which, if you're not familiar with Rick Derringer's work, his most popular song is I Am a Real American. He wrote Hulk Hogan's theme song in the 80s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I know
that's,
who Rick Derringer is. Yeah. I like Rick
yeah,
a lot.
he's a really good artist, but his big hit was, of course, Hulk Hogan's theme, which is understandable. And then he released the song Rocky. Well, Ricky, I mean, sorry. He
It's
released
okay.
Ricky. I was looking at the rock Billboard charts. That's why I said Rocky. He released Ricky, and that kind of also pole vaulted his career. That was the early Weird Al. And Weird Al saw huge popularity for like till 89 ish. And then his popularity slowly dwindled off for a couple years. And then he
Hmm.
had a complete career resurgence in 1990. So like for like a year or close to a year or two, he kind of like was starting on a downhill slope, and then just a 90s hit in the grunge movement, and he just blew up again.
Hmm.
Like he relied heavily when he first started on pop songs and hard rock songs.
Oh yeah.
And then like something changed. Like he even did UHF in the 80s, which was a huge like it was a box office failure if I'm remembering properly, but it became a cult classic.
Absolutely. You're absolutely spot on that. Because yes, it did terrible in the theater. And believe it or not, my father took me to go see that. I'm in there laughing my ass off. He keeps looking over at me like, "What the fuck are we watching?" And
Right?
I'm like, I'm loving this, man. This is great.
Like it's my mop.
Yeah, it's my mob, and the Spatula City, and all the spin-offs of shows and everything. My only thing I remember my dad laughing at a couple times was, oh shit, Richards, damn it, his name's guy from Seinfeld, Mike.
Michael Richards, I think is his name. Is that his name? Michael Richards? I believe so. Let me see. Michael.
He became on Seinfeld.
Yeah, Michael Richards, I think is his name.
Yeah, Michael Richards. Sorry, the internet's still funky until I get it fixed.
He had that big like controversy a few years ago, but
Hmm.
yeah, Michael Richards was his name. But Weird Al's career just it didn't like flop, but he didn't like became hugely, he wasn't as big as early 80s as he was late 80s.
Right.
Like early to mid 80s was Weird Al's big career thing, and then in the 90s he had a career revolution when he released the album Off the Deep End in 1990.
Which is my favorite album. I
He
just love
won
that album.
he won 2 Grammys on that album, which is huge for a comedy album.
Oh yeah.
Weird Al is one of the few comedy artists to not only have Grammys, but he's one of the few comedy artists to shit, I lost my thought. He won Grammys, and he also was the first comedy artist to really hit #1 in the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
his most recent album debuted #1 in the Billboard charts, which is
Nice.
crazy. Which is crazy because not a lot of people that I know anyway listen to modern Weird Al, but apparently he's still as popular as he ever has been.
Oh, especially live too, man. I mean, he still puts on, not only an awesome show, but people flock to go see him every time. I've ever noticed that he goes out, boom, tickets are gone.
He also there's a lot of parodies that didn't make albums. Like Michael Jackson was a huge fan of Weird Al's, and Weird Al
Hmm.
did a parody of Black or White that his version was Snack All Night.
Snack all night. I can see that.
And Michael Jackson didn't allow him to release it for whatever reason. And
I think they had a falling out. To be honest, if I
I
remember
think
correctly.
because when Off the Deep End came out, that caused a big rift in any type of friendship they had, because that caused Weird Al to have to postpone when the album was going to be released because he had to take it off the album.
Right.
And he's like, "Ah, fuck." And then, of course, everybody knows the really popular 90s hit, Smells Like Nirvana.
Oh yeah.
Yama, yama. How am I supposed to sing with all these marbles in my
In my
mouth?
mouth, right? That part always cracked me up. I mean, and the story, I kind of had it backwards about him being able to do that song. You know, he worked with what was her name, Victoria, you know,
Uh-huh.
from UHF, and
Mhm.
she was on Saturday Night Live, and Nirvana was happening, you know, to be playing that Saturday, and he called her and said, "Listen, can you go and talk to the guys and see if they would, you know, be okay with me doing it?" And they didn't even blink an eye. They're like, "Well, fuck yeah, it's Weird Al. Who wanted who?" They're like, "That's like an honor and then some to have Weird Al, you know, do your song." So they're like, "Yeah, tell them no problem whatsoever."
Right, Weird Al. It went from like him being a parody artist to you haven't made it in music unless he parodies your music.
Very true.
Like haven't made it yet,
Well,
unless Weird Al.
the only person that will, back then at least, would say he was not happy and he didn't get permission was
Coolio.
Coolio for, you know, Gangster's Paradise, but Amish Paradise. And I remember Coolio just he made himself look like an idiot because when he got his Grammy,
Uh huh.
he had to mention that in like an interview or something, and people were just like, you know, fuck you, man. You know, just take it as, you know, a homage, take it as a, you know, a tribute or what have you, because if Weird Al did one of my songs ever, I'd be like, fuck yeah, you know.
And what's crazy is I hear Amish Paradise more than I do Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta
Well,
churn that butter, man.
from what I heard though, is he had rights through Coolio to do the song, but not do the music video because back then Weird Al a few times would release a song but couldn't release a music video because he didn't have rights to do the video, but he had rights to do the song.
Right.
So, from what I heard, he didn't have rights to do the video and he did it anyway, or he got rights through management and did it, and Coolio didn't approve of what management did. I don't know exactly what happened, but Chameleonaire was awesome about White and Nerdy.
Yes. Yes.
And then, of
Very.
course, one of my favorite newer Weird Al parodies is probably American Idiot, his version Canadian Idiot.
Yeah. You don't wanna be a Canadian idiot.
Did you know that in 2008, Weird Al Yankovic had a certified platinum album? Yeah, he was one of the few parody artists to have a certified platinum album.
Was that Running with Scissors or?
That was straight out of Linwood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The one right after, or no,
Yeah,
two after. My fault. Two after.
yeah, it was two after. It was the one that it came out in 2008. He went certified platinum on that album. Really good album. I love that album. You have hits like Skipper Dan and well, no, that's for the next album after that. I'm sorry. With Straight Outta Linwood, it was White Nerdy. Um, what was the other songs off that album? Do you remember all the songs off that album? I listened to his music, but like,
Don't download this song.
oh yeah, that was on Straight Outta Linwood. Don't download this song. But yeah, he also did Whatever You Like, a parody of that. I don't know if it made the album. I know it made the Internet Leaks EP that came out after that,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it was originally intended for that album though, Straight Outta Linwood. Then he released Internet Leaks, and when that came out, it was an EP, so it wasn't like many songs. It was like five maybe. Um, but it was a great fucking EP. I was excited to hear new Weird Al at the time. And then it took us 2 years to get another Weird Al album or even a
Yeah.
song. Born This Way, he did Perform This Way. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of like skipping through a lot of important events and just
No,
sticking
that's
with the
fine.
music, but he released the music video and he donated his proceeds to the Human Rights Campaign.
Oh, nice.
It supports human rights themes of the original song. So he basically donated to a human rights charity, which is nice.
Yeah, that's very good. Very good.
He then released his album Mandatory Fun, which is a really good album. Have you heard that one?
Yes, I have. I have. I'm sorry. I got like three things going on all at once.
You're doing them word crimes. Got no proper grammar. What did I stammer? And the thing with Weird Al, I noticed though, after '89, he significantly changed the way he looks.
Yeah, absolutely.
He went from, let me show you a perfect example. I've got an action figure for this. He went from, I don't know if you can see it, but he went from wearing glasses to short, curly hair and a mustache.
Right.
And then at the turn of the century, Weird Al got LASIK eye surgery. He shaved the mustache. He grew his hair out real long. And like he matured a lot, like looks wise, not performance wise. But he matured a lot. And the thing that I love about Weird Al shows is he's a really good artist and performer. Like he's an incredible performer. Are you watching Bob the Builder?
No, I got the little 6-year-old in here like screaming.
Oh, you're good. But Weird Al has released so many things. He did a musical. Well, he didn't do a musical, but he did a polka version of a musical.
Right.
He did the polka version of Hamilton.
Nice, nice.
I love his polkas. Like now, he did have a real bad falling out, not with his band or anything, but he saw a lot of what is the wording I'm looking for? He faced a lot of adversary, and the hardest one that hit him was in 2004. Both of his parents died from carbon monoxide poisoning the same day.
Yeah, that was very sad to hear. I remember that very well, and it's like I couldn't imagine.
And I don't think he stopped touring.
Stephanie, sorry, I got this little 6-year-old over here freaking out.
You're good.
Go in the other room, please. Go in the other room. Thank you very much. Sorry, go ahead, man.
He was also really popular for his polka medleys. He would do like metal songs and stuff, and he'd put them all in one polka song. I
Yeah,
don't know if you've heard any of that. He also has a huge number of original tunes, not parodies. Weird Al, a lot of people associate him with just parodies. He is a very good comedy writer too. He
Yeah.
has original songs like "You Don't Love Me Anymore" or "One More Minute." He does other. Good.
I was just going to say, You Don't Love Me Anymore. What I loved about that song, and I really love that song, I was like, dude, he really wrote a cool ballad. But a lot of people were like, dude, he did like the more, he still made it a parody because he did the More Than Words video.
Yeah. He
but
did
the
the
music
video.
was completely original.
Yeah, it was completely original. He also has a song called "Those Were the Good Old Days." It was shortened to "Good Old Days," and it's fucking hilarious too. He also does songs that's original, but they're in the style of another artist. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like he did the song "I'll Sue You," which is in the style of Rage Against the Machine, but it's all original.
Mm-hmm.
It's not any one song by the band. It just sounds like that band. He also did Dare to Be Stupid, which was in the style of Devo.
Yes, I love that.
Put down your suitcase and listen to me. It's time for you to join in the fight. Don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. It's time to let the bedbugs bite. I fucking love that song.
I do too.
He also did Genius in France, which was in the style of Frank Zappa. He did a song called Ringtone, which was in the style of Queen. Germs, which was in the style of Nine Inch Nails, which was very interesting to hear Weird Al do a song in the style of Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And he also did Don't Download This Song, which was, I forget. Oh, it was in the style of a college fight song when he did Sports Song. But Don't Download This Song was in the style of just random country music and shit, I guess is what he was aiming for.
Right.
And he also did theme songs for TV shows. And he also did a lot of parodies about TV shows.
Yep, and he's done a lot of voiceover work too.
Uh-huh. He's done a lot of his songs are about either food or TV shows from the 80s.
Exactly.
A lot of his parodies is about that. Or I love his parody. It came in a weird era, but he did a song called CNR,
Okay.
which the song came out in 2008, I think, and it's about Charles Nelson Riley. Remember the game show guy with the big fucking glasses and shit
Yeah, I do. I do.
from like the 80s? He wrote this song in 2008 about a guy from the 80s that a lot of people don't even remember, but he used a lot of like Chuck Norris jokes, but replaced them with Charles Nelson Riley. Like,
Nice.
he talks about how he won the Tour de France with a flat tire and a missing chain. And like all kinds of other shit. He has a third nipple on the back of his neck and all that other. But like Weird Al's a national treasure, and there's one thing that I really wanted to bring up though, not just his career, but a lot of people are wondering what is the legality of what Weird Al does and how hasn't he gotten in trouble yet? Now I will cover this. Weird Al Yankovic doesn't need permission to do these songs. He doesn't. Not legally under the court of law. There's a fair use clause that protects parody. But Weird Al's career has lasted longer than any other parody artist is because he gets permission anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The artists are in on the joke.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we said earlier, if you have a request or, Weird Al goes, hey, I'm going to do one of your tunes, you took that as a badge of honor and said, please. I mean, if you look at it too, if somebody does a
You froze, brother. But yeah, if somebody does a parody, it is like
Smells Like Teen Spirit even got more view or more not views, more sales because of Weird Al's parody.
Well, did you hear remember Brian Posehn, the comedian? He's a big metalhead and shit.
Mm-hmm.
He said in
Love
an interview, he's like, I want to introduce my kids to Weird Al, but I don't know if I should be like, here's Weird Al, he parodies songs, or should I tell them these are all originals and let them find out as they grow older and get pissed off? They're like, have you heard of Michael Jackson? No, who's Michael Jackson? He ripped off Weird Al.
That would have been great, man. That would probably be me. You know what I mean? To be real honest, I'd be like, yeah, go check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Weird Al said in an interview, he said, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to be embroiled in any of the nastiness. That's not how I live my life. I like everybody to be in on the joke and be happy for my success. I take pains, not burn bridges.
Yeah.
Like he negotiates. He even negotiates royalties with the artists. Like he doesn't get 100% profits of these songs.
No, he doesn't. And like you said before, I know a few times of him giving everything, from proceeds to charity or what have you. I think that's amazing. That's an excellent artist.
He actually, like, what's crazy is Weird Al got permission not once but twice from Michael Jackson to parody one of his songs. Like, he also parodies artists that aren't like really huge either. Like I noticed, you remember the band Presidents of the United States of America?
I do. Peaches, brother.
He parodied Gump, which is a parody of Lump.
Yeah,
but
the Forrest Gump one.
Yeah, and what's weird is Lump was not a huge hit for Presidents around that time.
No.
And I'm like, that's very cool for him to do that. And then one of my favorite parodies of all time is A Long, Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far Away.
Oh, the Star Wars, yeah. American Pie, Star Wars.
I saw him in concert, and he did that song, and he cut halfway through the song and did his song Yoda, which is a parody of Lola.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. because
It
that's one of my
is.
favorite songs is Lola. Anyways, I just love that song. And have him do, Yoda, just like this is badass. And the video to boot was amazing.
You know what's insane is I remember like the days of MySpace when that's when Weird Al like kind of had a resurgence in his career.
Hmm.
And he did White Nerdy, and I remember like Chameleonaire was like praising him. Like he's like, I didn't know he could rap like that.
Dude's freaking talented, man. I mean, he's
Like
amazed me throughout the years. How about when he did Taco Grande? You know what I mean? Give me a break. That
Taco
was yeah, that was
Grande.
amazing. Oh man, that album, that one, I mean, I love a lot of their, a lot of his stuff, but that album, I could not stop listening to it. Making fun of, parody of, New Kids on the Block. You know, the
Like
white stuff.
yeah, the white stuff in the middle of an Oreo.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird Al has been refused permission to parody songs too.
Oh, a lot actually. Yeah.
Prince denied him 5 times.
Wow, I did
Um,
not know that many times.
Weird
Wow.
Al was wanting to do a parody of Let's Go Crazy about Beverly Hills. Prince said no. He wanted to do a parody of Purple Rain. Prince said no. It was going to be called Yellow Snow instead of Purple
Yellow
Rain.
Snow, nice.
He wanted to do a parody of 1999, which is going to be an infomercial, and the call number begins with 1999. Prince said no. And then he asked again for When Doves Cry, and he was finally given permission, but only a small snippet is allowed, and it's in his movie. It's in a song called UHF.
Okay.
So you can't find the full song, just a snippet of it in another song of his that he did a music video for.
Oh, right on.
He wanted to do a parody, a polka medley of Led Zeppelin. And even though Jimmy Page is a self-proclaimed huge Weird Al fan, he said no.
That's weird.
But instead, Jimmy Page re-recorded the guitar track for Black Dog, and it could be found on Weird Al's song "Trapped in the Drive-Thru." That part of "Trapped in the Drive-Thru" where he turns on the radio and he goes da 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 da. Jimmy Page re-recorded that for him.
Oh, nice.
Paul McCartney, who is also a huge Weird Al fan, refused Yankovic permission to record a parody of the famous Wings song "Live and Let Die" because Weird Al wanted to title it "Chicken Pot Pie." And due to Paul McCartney being a vegan, he said, "Can you just name
Yeah.
it Tofu Pot Pie?" And Weird Al's like, "I'm a vegan too. No, it doesn't work with the lyrics I wrote."
Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's gotta fit. It's gotta fit.
Because the lyrics he had was, that part where it goes da da dun da da dun da da.
Hmm.
He was going to have chickens crowing over top of that in that beat. Craw craw
God,
craw 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 craw. Well,
that's too bad, man. I would have loved to hear that one.
he does sometimes play these songs live. He didn't have permission to record them, but he doesn't need permission to play them live. So he will still play these songs live. He just can't put them on albums.
Right.
He also wanted to do a parody, and this is a hilarious parody. He was going to do a theme song for Home Improvement, and he always says live when he does this because it's never been recorded, but he does play it live. He's like, but it sounds like another TV show theme song, and it's the Friends theme song, guitar riffs and shit, over lyrics about home improvement. So it's called "I'll Repair for You." and and he also, of course, released his parody of "You're Beautiful," which was "You're Pitiful" for Straight
Oh
Outta
yeah.
Linwood.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah. Wasn't
his
that is that guy the beautiful? Wasn't that James Blunt?
yeah, James Blunt, not to be
Yeah.
confused with Jimmy Joint or
Or
Bobby Bong.
yeah,
No,
Bobby
no.
Bong. Bobby Bong was awesome. I just want to say hello, Renee. Thanks for coming on.
Hi Renee, thanks for stopping by. I didn't see the chat, my bad.
No worries.
But I actually saw Weird Al on his. I'm trying to remember when I saw him. Didn't see him on the Straight Outta Linwood tour. but I saw him on the Mandatory Fun tour, which was for the Mandatory Fun album. Which it was funny because he had a bunch of shirts that looked like communist shirts, but it had his face on it instead of Stalin, and
Oh wow.
it said Mandatory Fun underneath. I saw him on the Mandatory Fun tour. I saw him on the tour before that, the Apocalypse tour, and then I saw him on the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity tour. So I've seen him 3 times.
Yeah,
And
I'm jealous, man. That's one show that I've wanted to see, but like I said, every time he comes around, man, it just sells.
it's
You
like
know? Yeah,
you have to
it's
buy it the
like
day of. You have to buy it the day they go on sale.
yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Put on a second show. But
Weird Al shows are interesting because the first one I went to was at a casino and everybody was like dressed up like really fancy and shit. And I'm like, this is weird for a concert, but whatever. And he was doing like the costume changes. He had like the screens that would show like skits and stuff as he's changing in between
right,
songs and shit. Because he does the whole thing. Like for Fat, he wears a fat suit. For White and Nerdy, he drives around on a Segway. Like he goes all out. And then on his second show I saw him on, he did the same shit but different set list. Third time I saw him was a very interesting tour. It was the self-indulgent tour I told you about. Weird Al Yankovic, no parodies were performed. Well, limited parodies, no special lighting, no TV screens, no costume changes. He was doing B-sides, original songs, and each night was a different set list entirely.
that's cool.
Like he was doing songs he hasn't done in 30 years. He did songs he's never done live before. Like he was pulling out all the stops. And it was insane. Like he did Airline Amy, which he hadn't done since Straight Outta Linwood. He did the birthday song. Because he's like, how many
Nice.
people he's like, how many people here have a birthday this year? And like everybody agrees. He's like, this song's for you. Happy birthday to you. Then halfway through his set, he's like, this next song's a Christmas song. And some drunk asshole was like, the night Santa went crazy. He's like, thanks to you, that's not the one I'm playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And
We're done.
he ended up doing Christmas at Ground Zero instead, which is a song he hasn't done in ages. Because he was like, it's only 278 days till Christmas. Like it was like in February when we had the show, or March or some shit.
Well, that would be Weird Al for you. You know what I mean? Here you go. We're gonna do a Christmas song. It's January 26th. And he's like, right on, man.
No, it was like February or March maybe. And like, what the fuck?
No, but I would love it. I'd be looking over there like, yeah, let's do it. But I love goofy people like that anyways, That's why me and you get along. I mean, come on.
Right. He had a parody that just recently made an album. He released a rarities album. Medium Rarities is what it's called, because he likes his music medium rare.
Right.
But it's called Medium Rarities. And one parody that made it to TV but never made it to album was on The Simpsons when he did the parody of Jack and Diane from John Mellencamp.
Right.
It was called the Ballad of Homer and Marge. Here's a ditty about Homer and Marge. Her love for him is as big as his tummy is large, or something like that was the lyric.
Something like that, yeah.
And then he released a parody of Nirvana's Rape Me called Brain Freeze. Because it was him parodying the Homer Simpson song Shave Me.
Yeah.
Which was a parody of Rape Me, because Weird Al didn't want to be directly related to a song called Rape Me, so they had to make it that Homer Simpson was in a grunge band back in the day, and they had a song called Shave Me. And then Weird Al parodied it. Because Homer was like, I even have Weird Al parodying our music.
That's great.
Weird Al Yankovic appeared as himself on the cartoon Batman the Brave and the Bold. He showed up as himself on an episode of that show, a Batman series.
Do you remember I don't know, you might have not been alive yet, obviously, because I'm much older. But he on MTV, I think you could find it on YouTube. He had Al TV,
Yeah,
where he like,
yeah.
go ahead.
He had Al TV, which he did skits in the 80s, but he
Hmm.
also brought it back on like a YouTube type format. But it was just for like tours that he was doing. He would interview musicians,
Oh,
and
really? I got to look for that.
what it was the interview with the musician. He cut it and pasted it in certain ways to make it look like he's interviewing them when he's not, and they're giving like some off the wall answers because
Nice.
it's like he asked Kevin Federline, he's like, "What's it like having all these wife beaters and no wife?" Like crazy off the wall questions like that, and it's not really Kevin Federline; it's just from another interview of Kevin Federline.
Right?
And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he also did that on LTV. He interviewed Ozzy Osbourne one time on LTV.
Hmm.
And he's like, "So how's the wife? How's the kids?" And Ozzy's like, "Oh, I went to a movie the other night and they got run over." He's like, "What?" Yeah, Weird Al's a fucking genius when it comes to that kind of shit.
Oh, big time. Yeah. I remember so many like friends, back in the day, who were like, "Oh, he's just making fun of music. He's just an ass, and he's going to be a nobody in this." And I'm like, dude, just have fun with it. He's having fun with it. I don't think he's going to just make fun of a song to make fun of a song. Because the guy
You,
loves all types of styles of music. I've heard him say that a million times.
you
I
know what make
love rock. I love metal. I love, polka, obviously. I love dance music.
you
So
know
does a
what
lot of people. So what?
you know what really upset me in like the mid to late 2000s, and when I say that I mean like between the time of 2005 to 2010. Um, Weird Al Yankovic, LimeWire was a big thing. You might remember that.
Oh, yeah.
LimeWire.
Big time.
There was a lot of parodies being miscontributed as Weird Al Yankovic because Weird Al was known as the parody guy. So there was a lot of parody artists being uncredited for music, not Weird Al's fault, but like on LimeWire, any parody artist was automatically named Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't. Wow, no. I didn't know that.
There were so
That's
many
great.
times that I'd have a friend walk up and be like, "Have you heard this Weird Al song?" And I'm like, "That's not Weird Al." And they're like, "Yeah, it is. It says it on LimeWire." I'm like, "I'm a Weird Al fan. I know what his voice sounds like. I know that's not him. I have all
Right.
his albums. That's not him." Like, and then they would argue with me. I'm like, "It doesn't even sound like Weird Al. Like, what are you doing right now?" Like the fuck. But yeah, he said that was his only beef with peer-to-peer file sharing. So he doesn't care that people get his music that way. He hates that he's being miscontributed.
Good night, Renee. Have a good one. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you, Renee. But yeah, like it's crazy that he got miscontributed.
No, it is. It is. It's a shame. But at the same time, what can you do? It's going to happen in your, career at some point.
Weird Al also has a star on the Walk of Fame, but do you know how he got it?
He has to
He
pay
had
for it.
he had to have fans send donations. He didn't want to be on the Walk of Fame, but the fans gave him that as a gift.
Okay. Well, that's
But
cool. Because yeah,
but
I do.
yeah,
I do know you have to pay for that.
yeah, a lot of fans donated and they put him on the Walk of Fame. Now let's get into a little debate right now.
Okay.
Weird Al Yankovic, he has not been nominated, not even nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He should be in.
I agree.
He should 100% be in. Like, yeah, he's not a rock artist per se, but if it wasn't for him, a lot of rock artists wouldn't have got the like views they got. Like Nirvana was huge, but if it wasn't for Smells Like Nirvana, would the grunge movement have really been as big as it was? Because Weird Al took him seriously, and he's a huge star.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
That's a hard. Well, it's a difficult.
what if type thing.
What if thing. Yeah, but I do agree with you. He has influenced even just artists
Yeah,
that did their own thing. I hear it all the time that, well, he might be a parody guy, but if it wasn't for Weird Al, I might not have, picked up, a guitar or what have you.
Yeah. And
I
Weird
mean, you
Al,
do hear that.
and also Weird Al influences a lot of comedy writers too.
Absolutely.
And the guy back then, you didn't know you made it until you heard a Weird Al parody.
Hmm.
Like, so the man should most definitely be in the hall, at least under the celebrity wing.
Yeah. Well, let's think about it. Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler has gone that route for years now, doing parody
Hmm.
songs and comedy songs. And I've heard him say, Weird Al was a big inspiration,
Yeah,
for him.
yeah. He was a big inspiration for a lot of comedy artists. I believe Psycho Stick was influenced by Weird Al Yankovic, and they're a metal band.
Right.
They're a comedy metal group. And Weird Al Yankovic has been nominated for I think, the most awards for a comedy artist.
I
He
believe
was
you're
nom
correct.
he was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards for Best Comedy Recording, and 85 for Eat It, and 86 for Dare to Be Stupid, and 88 for Polka Party. He only won once in 85 for Eat It. And then in 89, he was nominated for Best Concept Music Video for Fat, which he won. Then he was nominated for Best Recording for Children, which was Peter and the Wolf. He's done children's music, and he wrote 2 children's books, by the way. Best Recording for Children, Peter and the Wolf. He was nominated, didn't win. And then he had Best Comedy Recording, Even Worse, which was Making Fun of Bad. And he was only nominated for that.
Well,
And
I got a trivia. I'll throw out there, see if anybody if there's people in the chat.
right.
A little trivia here in the music video. Fat. Who is, because I don't know if you've seen the long form video, not
Mhm.
you, but them in the chat. Who's the big name actor that kind of got like a restart in his career? Because he was already doing some movies. But do you know who the actor is in that video and became like a superstar? I just want to see if anybody maybe possibly knows.
Um, I used to know because like I knew all that shit about the videos back then and stuff, but I couldn't tell you now. It's been so long since I've seen that music video. Like I kind of have the guy's image in my head. Are you referring to the gentleman who forces him to eat the sandwich? Is that who you're talking about?
Um, no, I think he was just basically, he just had like maybe a word or two that he said,
Who was
but
it?
he was in that. Okay, 1 second. I'm sorry.
You're
I
good.
got I got something going on here.
The suspense is killing me.
I know. I'm so sorry. Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, sorry, I had to answer something over there. But
Yeah,
yeah, Wesley Snipes. He was in the very beginning because he already did Wildcats like in, what, 84, 85,
yeah.
and I believe he also did Major League, the baseball movie. But he was
Hmm.
still like really not known. But then after that, he just exploded and became eventually Blade and what have you. Went to prison.
Okay, for Weird Al's first song, it was in '78, but My Bologna was the first single that he ever had that actually made radio.
Oh, okay, okay.
The other two did not, I don't think, and he wrote that in his college years.
Wow.
So yeah, he's been playing accordion since he was 6
Yeah, I know he's been
or
playing a
7,
long,
7.
long time, long time. I mean that's awesome. I mean he's just definitely he's not an icon to me. He's a legend. So I'm just glad he was in my
He's,
life as a kid on.
we're lucky we get to live in the same era as Weird Al.
Absolutely.
Like
Weird Al, Dr. Demento,
Bob and
fucking
Tom. Even Bob and
Bob,
Tom.
Bob and Tom, yeah. The early Howard Stern.
You know what's weird? We were talking about White and Nerdy. With White and Nerdy, there's a lot of inspiration behind that because Weird Al is actually White and Nerdy. He was a valedictorian of his high school.
I wouldn't be surprised if dude's intelligent.
Yeah, he's very intelligent. He also got his nickname when he was studying architecture. They considered him really odd. He didn't fit in with anyone. So it was actually an insult at first, Weird Al, but he just accepted it and made a character out of it.
Right.
So it was originally a monarcher that he came up with because people was making fun of him calling him that, and then it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It worked.
He also, I'm trying to find more facts because I actually have Weird Al's book. It has a lot of weird facts about him, but it's not here in Ohio. He actually was rejected from working at McDonald's.
Really?
when he was in college, he tried to get a job at McDonald's and he was considered overqualified.
That's crazy. Maybe that's why that scene's in UHF.
Probably.
When he squirts everybody with mustard.
Oh, guess what? Like a Surgeon, here's a little trivia, fun fact type thing. Like a Surgeon is the only parody idea that Weird Al Yankovic did not come up with himself.
Oh, God. I think I remember this, but I don't have it in the top of my skull. Yeah, well, who did that?
The idea was from Madonna herself. Madonna went to Weird Al.
Really?
Madonna went to Weird Al and was like, "Do you want to do a doctor-themed parody of Like a Virgin and call it Like a Surgeon?" And Weird Al's like, "That's brilliant," and he went ahead and did it.
No, that's awesome. Especially at that time, she was, just enormous, fame.
He also is a 4-time Grammy Awards artist. He's won 4 Grammys. For the video Fat, he also won a Grammy for Poodle Hat, for Eat It, and for Mandatory Fun. He won 4 Grammys.
Wow. That's
and
amazing.
And each one is from different eras, by the way. He won his first Grammy in 1984. He won his second in 85. He won his third in 2003 and his last one in 2014. So it spanned generations.
That's crazy.
He also, his most recent album, Mandatory Fun, was the first comedy album to debut #1 in over 50 years.
Jeez. Who was #1, I wonder, 50 years ago?
I have no idea. 50 years ago would have to be...
It would have to be like, no, probably not, Fox or anything like
Lenny
that.
Bruce. Maybe Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, it could have been.
Maybe. It would have debuted #1 on the comedy albums list, but I think Weird Al's the only musical comedy artist that made #1.
Yeah, probably true on that. I mean, man, what a great career this dude had and has.
Also, his music, most of his singles, if not all of his singles, have at least been in the top 27 Billboard charts.
Yeah, and the guy is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Give me a fucking break.
Right?
That alone does it.
I would love to hear Weird Al cover a Tiny Tim.
Nice, yeah.
Because they do look kind of similar.
That's true.
Especially nowadays. I love Weird Al. Like, I would love to interview him, even though I do know that Weird Al never answers questions seriously. He doesn't.
No,
that's the thing.
He doesn't. That's his stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just how he is. And that's fine and everything, but one of these days somebody's going to get him, and it could be you. Who knows? Somebody's going to get him. I know I couldn't because I'd just be wanting to fuck around too much myself. Probably like you would be like, so if you had a sandwich that
What's
that you
crazy
really wanted to write about, what sandwich would that be?
What's crazy about Weird Al, I saw an interview with him, and I forget what his exact answer was, but I think his answer was somebody asked him, if you weren't a comedy musical artist, what would you do for a living? And I don't think Weird Al is one of those guys that does what ifs or whatever. Like he lives in the now.
Yeah.
But he told the guy something along the lines of a pickle farmer or some shit. What would you be doing if you weren't a musician? A pickle farmer.
Yeah, pickle farmer sounds about right. Yeah. Hey,
Another bit.
I was gonna
Another.
say real quick, I gotta run into the other room real fast, if that's
Okay.
cool. Why don't you go ahead and promote your, your Pink
Okay.
Sock show? Throw all your stuff up there, and I'll be
Okay.
back like in a few minutes.
Okay. I'll just put me on the screen and I'll see you in a few
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah, I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Okay. If you guys enjoy your music, you enjoy, well, comedy, artists, all that stuff, we have a lovely show. I have a lovely show, which it is streaming on right now on YouTube. This show streaming on that YouTube channel. That YouTube channel is where Pink Sock Podcast is at, is what I'm trying to say. Pink Sock Podcast is my little ditty, my little show that I do every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. This today we had Alan Poe and Adam from the band Gray's Divide. Next week we have Tower Stories with Jeff Towers, which is a good friend of ours. He was coming on the show to talk about his time with Wasp when he worked with them and Molly Crew. Then the week after that, we have Eric 13 of Combi Christ and Sex Slaves. And then we have Michael McVeigh, good friend of mine. And then I would like to promote other shows right now. I would like to promote Reignite with Kathy Grant. She is having Roman Jug of the Damned. We also have the Sabbath Sunday Iron Worship podcast, which is done by the guys of Death Comes Lifting. Then we have In the Trenches. We have Dennis DeYoung, who's going to be on Ryan Roxy's In the Trenches podcast. And then we have Calabrese's Mystic Cult of Horrors podcast. And then, of course, we're bringing on Michelle Titian to talk about the Drive Foundation, which is a foundation to help spread the word of mental health. So we have some great episodes coming up with that. Go check out the most recent episode of Pink Sock Podcast, which is now available on YouTube and Facebook. We are on Facebook now. We are working on branching out to more streaming sites. Hi, Adam. It was a great episode. Today we were talking about Weird Al Yankovic. We might actually be ending the show here shortly. Not much more to really talk about, but I have Weird Al's book. If you ever get a chance, go check out Weird Al's book. Go watch his movie UHF. Fucking incredible. Like, I love Weird Al. I would love to get Weird Al on the show on Pink Sock eventually. That would be a dream come true. But yeah, Weird Al is awesome. He's influenced a lot of people. He influenced Simon and Garfunkel, which if you haven't heard, Garfunkel and Oates, not Simon and Garfunkel, Garfunkel and Oates, sorry. Garfunkel and Oates, they're a comedy group, duo, if you will, of two girls. And they took the name from obviously Simon and Garfunkel and all that. Simon Garfunkel and Oates. But yeah, they're a good band. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. But yeah, Tenacious D, I think, is also influenced by Weird Al. They would almost have to be. I think that's their influence on that. And yeah, Weird Al's career has spanned for 40 years when he was told it would only last 3. And I think we have Mr. Rob Rowe back. I was saying Weird Al's career lasted 40 years when it was supposed to last 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to thinking, I believe Weird Al Yankovic influenced Tenacious D.
Oh, absolutely.
He would almost have had to have been influenced by Tenacious D. Like, but I might be calling this show quits here soon because we are getting on the hour mark. And I think we covered just about everything we could with Weird Al, unless there's something you wanted to add.
Not really. I mean, I think we got to the gist of it. So, but I did want to say, hey, and hey, what's going on, Adam? Nice to see you. You guys had an excellent show this afternoon. I'm glad you could bring Edgar Allan Poe back from the dead. That was amazing.
He looks different.
He looks good though. He looked refreshed. He looked
Yeah.
like he was doing pretty okay. But no,
I,
seriously, that was a great show, man. I had a lot of fun watching that.
I think it's our it might be our new longest show. I might have to look back on the tape on that. But I know the longest show previously was when we had David Rattenberry on. But I think Alan Poe might have beat that line. And Adam, if you're watching, guys, rock on. Amazing show. It was fun talking. We actually talked for another 30 to 40 minutes after we went off the air.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Well, no, I did see somebody do a screenshot. I can't remember
Yeah.
who it was on Instagram, and it showed even Naomi on there. So was that the after effect?
That was the after effect. We all went on the same thing. Is Adam Grech, every time we have a guest, if the guest can stick around after the show, he takes a picture.
Nice, nice.
And we all pose and stuff. It's pretty rad. It's pretty rad.
Well, you know what I found really cool too. I was gonna post it in the chat, but I was just like, it's just too many words,
Right.
And because I'm from Illinois myself, and so it was really cool that to hear that they live in Effingham, which I've been there tons of times. It's a smaller town, and my parents, my mom and father lived there for quite a few years, but that's a fun town. Even when you were a teenager, it was a good time. So I was like, oh, nice. Effingham family. That's awesome.
It was almost 6 a.m. when we were done.
Nice.
But yeah, Effingham.
Future man.
Effingham. Does their sign say "Welcome to Fuckingham"?
Pretty much. Welcome to fucking nothing. The home of fucking nothing. At least it was back then. It could have grown by now, but hell, that's been many, many years for me. But yeah, it's the home of nothing but cornfields and farmers, and
it's like Iowa.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much.
Or the entire state of Kansas.
The entire state of Kansas. Well, I do remember they had a Dairy Queen, so that at least was cool.
Well, when we went through Kansas, they had a Family Dollar. So
there you go. Everything's good if you have a Family Dollar.
Right. Well, hey, Rob, I was going to get off of here. We discussed just about everything we could. Weird Al. We might do a Weird Al part 2 where we rank his albums. I don't know if I want to do that to myself yet.
No, yeah, I need a little bit more time, to do that one, just because, I remember a lot of things, but there's still some stuff I got to catch up on. I mean,
Weird Al hasn't had a bad album, so I don't know how I'm going to rank any of them. He hasn't had one.
That's it.
He hasn't had one album where I skip a song. Not one. I could put Weird Al on in order each song, and I will not skip one.
Right. No, I don't think I ever skipped one, to be honest with you.
There'll be times where I'll skip Ozzy because I'm oh, I've heard this song a million times.
Oh yeah, how many? I can care less to hear "No More Tears," even though it's a great song, but I don't know how many times that was on the radio back in the day, and you're like, okay, enough's enough. I'm skipping it. Another one
that way with
is
Crazy Train. I'm that way with Crazy Train.
Well, that too, and even Perry Mason, because they played the shit out of that in Chicago when that first came out. I was like, okay, enough of this. And I love Osmosis. That's obviously.
I want to see Weird Al parody Ozzy music.
Oh, that'd be great.
What song? Gravy Train?
Gravy Train.
You know how many times Weird Al has said he gets phone calls or people telling him you need to do this parody or this one, and he's like, no, I do my own parodies. If you want that song written, you write it.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what he tells him. He's like, you write it.
Okay, I have a question for Adam. Is that Future Man Lives or Fuck My Life?
I think that's Future Man Lives. I don't know.
Okay, I was gonna say, what the hell's going on over there? I know you're in lockdown and it sucks. And yes, I every few days or so, I always send him a message to see how he's doing, because that has to be nuts, living like that still.
Right.
completely like can't go to work, can't do shit. Fuck that. Oh, fuck my life. Yep, there it is.
But it was a nice show, brother. We could do a part 2 of Weird Al once I get my book because it's back home in Ohio.
That's
But
fine. I was going to ask you, what do you want to do maybe next month, and how do you want to schedule these? Just so we
um,
kind of have like a pattern.
I was thinking about just scheduling them as we go because with the way that like my work schedule goes, it just differs by the week. So I get my schedule every 3 weeks in advance. So we can schedule this
Okay.
3 weeks before showtime or
Oh, that's perfect.
or 2 weeks before showtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't want to
perfect.
schedule too far ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. 2, 3 weeks is perfect. And then
Okay.
me and you will correspond. We'll decide what we want to talk about
hmm
for like the next show. But I got
I
some
was
ideas. I definitely want to do a Beastie Boys show with somebody at some time. That would be a lot of fun.
I was thinking for next week since we kind of got like a comedy music thing going on, Tenacious D.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
We could do Tenacious D, and then you can choose the next two or however you want to do it.
That works, man. Yeah,
All right.
this was a blast. I'm feeling a little bit better now. It's just this allergy bullshit going from 110 to like 79, killing my ass.
Yeah,
So
I'm in Arizona where it went from like 120 to 100 degrees to 90 to like 80 to like 90 to 100. But
yeah,
I think we're out of the 120s now.
yeah. Usually about this time, that's when it ends, and
Yeah.
it starts trying to get stable as the time goes on.
It had we had real bad rain and that's weird for Arizona. Like it rained on and off for like a month out here. And like
Really?
yeah, on and off. Like it would stop for like a week or so and then it'd rain again. And I'm like,
Wow.
fuck.
Yeah.
And then we got a real bad storm. Like it looked like my roommate went to Walmart and it looked like a tornado or some shit hit. Like there were signs knocked over because the high winds and like we had floods and all kinds of shit. But we're out of that now.
Well, yeah, that's good. I mean,
Well, they
yeah,
haven't had a
I've
monsoon.
lived in Arizona, so yeah, I know. I've lived in New Mexico.
Well, the thing with Arizona is a lot of my friends were like, this was a long time coming because Arizona hasn't had a real monsoon season in like years. Like they haven't had a real monsoon season in like maybe 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah, they needed the rain. It just sucks that they got it when we were out here. But
Well,
it was nice seeing you,
yeah,
brother. I gotta get
yeah,
going.
you too, man. I just want to say thanks to everybody. Starting in September 2nd, every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, the Rock and Roll Podcast is going to have a new topic. We're getting completely booked here the next few months, and which is pretty crazy. And I've always tell people if you ever want to join, a certain topic, you're more than welcome to hit me up. And you can find the Rock and Roll Podcast on Facebook. You'll get notifications when we go live, or obviously when we post when we're going to do a show. So, and sometimes we do surprise shows, as we've done plenty of them.
Surprise, bitches.
Yeah, surprise, motherfuckers, we're doing a show. All
But
right, man. Well,
nice
thank you
talking,
very
brother.
much, buddy.
No problem. I'll see you, brother.
Later, everybody.